The music box sure does look frigid today. I see. Hello, and welcome back to I see. Haha! I didn't intend for that one. Ooh. Good jokes abound. Hello, welcome back to Wario Land 3. On the last episode, we got the Snowstorm Spellbook. Had to make sure I said that one right. And the Ice Rod, which allowed us to frigid the sea, which we will, I guess, frigid sea now. Here it is. You can frigid see it. So the frigid sea, as you can frigid see, has pitch black water that has a property to it that we're unbeknownst of. We have no way of discerning this property, as it were. It'll become apparent later, but for now, pitch black water is basically just water. Maybe one day we'll learn how it's different. Frigid Sea, an ice level. I believe it's the only ice level in Wario Land 3. And it, of course, has everybody's favorite ice physics. So, like, here we're not slipping, because these are just, like, technically normal blocks. But here we'll slip, because these are big ice blocks. And this is snow-covered ground, maybe ice-covered ground. It's hard to tell. It's probably ice, because you don't slip on snow. You do. Well, I guess you could slip on snow, but I live in Texas. Don't worry about it. I don't know how the cold works. So yeah, you can potentially slip and slide around here. The Frigid Sea Gray Chest isn't a very long level. As you can Frigid See, I don't stop doing that now, I promise. But hey, it's kind of an interesting little level, and it's weird to have, like, ice physics back, because they weren't in Wario Land 2, they were in Wario Land 1, but they're back in full force, and by full force I mean a single level, baby, on Wario Land 3. But hey, with that we get a power-up, the King Koopa Cap. It was called the Spiked Helmet before, but it looks like Bowser's shell to me, so it's the King Koopa Cap now. Don't at me. It's what I've renamed it. It's an interesting thing that allows us to break blocks with our heads, an ability Wario previously had in Wario Land 2, and Wario Land 1. Wario Land 1? Wario Land 1? But now we can break blocks with our head, and interestingly, we can break non-cracked blocks with it. We have no way of breaking cracked blocks with our normal moveset as we stand. We could break non-cracked blocks with Fat Wario if we jumped and or fell onto them. I believe those are the only ways we had. But now we can do it with our head, which is interesting that the first way you get to break these, like, blocks that Wario's biceps aren't hard enough to break is by, like, slamming your head into them. To be fair, you have a spiked helmet on. It still seems kind of weird and interesting. Speaking of weird and interesting, I want to make note of this block, because this block is... I'm gonna chalk it up to weird game design, because this game is mostly non-linear, I think might be the best way to say it, because, like, you know, you can do... A lot of levels aren't required, and a lot of levels, like, you know, you can decide to do later if you so desired. But as you saw, we were able to break that with the Silk Ball transformation. We haven't really had to mess around with the Silk Ball transformation. We've had a few instances where we could be transformed by it, and I don't know if it's just the Silk Ball transformation can break non-cracked blocks, and maybe that was technically a non-cracked block, or if it was specifically a Silk Ball block, a block that could only be broken by the Silk Ball transformation, or not, so who knows? But it's kind of interesting, because there are blocks that can only be broken by the Silk Ball transformation. That is kind of hard to say. But we haven't seen one yet. There's nowhere we could have seen one yet. I believe... No, I was about to say I believe there might be one in the Frigid Sea, but I was thinking of a different transformation. It seems kind of weird and interesting that we see a hidden, or I guess disguised, fake? Not exactly sure what to call it, but we see a Silk Ball block that we have no way of... and I actually don't want to fall down here just yet. I wanted to play some golf. Just weird that we see... Or that we don't see a Silk Ball block before we have to break one without kind of being aware of it. There are a lot of silk worms in here, so I guess you could just potentially accidentally happen into it, and also golf is more expensive now, go figure. But I don't know, it just seems kind of weird that you see a fake Silk Ball block before you see a real one. And that's all I wanted to get out there, but then tripped over myself like a million times trying to get out there. But speaking of tripping over ourselves, golf! And ooh, if I hit that a little too hard, could end up in the, could end up out of bounds, and I'm kind of glad I didn't just smack it full force and try to hit it correctly, because I did a bad job at it. Maybe right about there should be good. Ooh, and I put backspin on it. Ooh, that was wonderful. Not only did I not hit it as hard as I wanted to, I put backspin on it to just make sure I destroyed that ball, which is also great because now that the game's more expensive, we don't get as many tries as we would like. This is kind of an interesting course. It's not long, but has a lot of potential to screw us up. So let's actually... I'm going to do kind of a weak shot here to put it before the sand bunker, so we can just kind of sail right over these hazards. Oh man, that second water trap? Second pond? They probably have a name in golf. Everything has a name in golf. Even you have a name in golf. It's an interesting tidbit about golf. If we can't hole-in-one it... Well, I guess it's not a hole-in-one, it'd be a par. But if we can't... Yeah, we can totally make it into the thing if I just hit it right. We'll see if I'm able to gauge this about right. I think that's right about there. Ooh, and that backs... Well, I don't think the backspin screwed us up. I just don't think I hit it hard enough, as we can see. And Wario's going to walk up to where we have failed our game of golf. Well, that's kind of interesting. The flag for the golf disappears whenever you're, like, loading in. It, like, loads in last. It's kind of interesting. Oh, and we got the same course. That's really weird. You know what? I'm just going to hammer it to put us, like, right at that little sliver of grass, and I think from there we'll be good. I'll just go ahead and take the penalty. Oh, do you not get a penalty for water? I thought you got a penalty for water. I guess you don't. I suppose it's only out of bounds you get a penalty for. From here, we can just go ahead and hammer it if we want to. So I'll go ahead and just do a little bit less than hammer the ball. And, it was beautiful. I mean, it wasn't beautiful. It was almost beautiful. We just want to give a little love tap now. Oh, that was not a love tap. That was an unloving tap, as we could see by Wario's unamused face. That was very bad. It was very, very bad. And we're just whittling away all of our money. Wow, we just keep getting the same course over and over again. I wonder if each level has a potential pool of levels that it can pull from. Or if it's like, you know, because I always just thought, like, oh, any level can show up in any of them. Because I've seen, like, the levels I would consider the hardest, like, in my first instance of golfing. And then you'll see that easy one a bunch, like, just all the time, I should say. So I don't know. It seems weird that we've just happened to get this one 3 times in a row now. Maybe this is just really dumb luck, or maybe this is the one they want us to play. Oh god, I failed this game so many times. We came in here with like 300 coins, didn't we? Oh wait, it's the same? Oh no, it's not the same one again. For a second I was like, how same again? How same again? Not sure. Let's try and just nail this ball right. Oh man, if I had put some spin on it, I think it would have bounced straight over that water thing. Pool of water. I feel like golf probably has a name for it, because like I said, golf has a name for everything. Let's go ahead and just... That should be right. Yeah, it's a good shot. Perfect. Beautiful. So now we just need to just hammer it. Yeah, let's just hammer it as hard as we can and put as much stank on it as we can. Yes, the most forward stank this ball can afford. Maybe about there. Oh, finally! Thank God we're done with golf. I hate it so much. It's a fine video game. It's just, it sucks doing it as many times as we do, especially since we got the same course 3 times in a row. It was just rubbing the wound with its salt, rubbing the salt in the wound. I wanted to say that wrong, but then I accidentally said it right. Whoops! That's that bad brain at work, and we'll go ahead and just silkworm our way down. We'll make some use out of these guys, because this might be a little bit faster. Who knows? Well, that's interesting. Even once you get hit like you're going to end the transformation, it still acts as a transformation itself, as we saw when it killed that boy, the laser roboto. They have some weird name. I think these like robots' names are like robotas, which seems kind of interesting. But they're not just robots, and they're not robotos. They're robotas. You get that like feminine A on there. I don't think Japanese has like a differentiation for male and feminine words like Spanish does. It's gone from my brain. I've forgotten how Spanish works, despite the fact that I took as much of it as I did. I mean, I just played a million hours of golf, so I mean that might be why, but who knows. But hey, a not required treasure, the pink prismatic crown. Gonna go color in our friend the cave, which doesn't actually change the cave's color, but in fact changes a passageway in between the cave, which looks foresty despite being a mountain cave guy. It's kind of an interesting deal there. Speaking of an interesting deal there, a town in chaos. I believe I couldn't remember how this level's like name was constructed, and I was like, town of chaos? There's question marks there. Oh, and that bird got me. Darn, I was bested by the bird. Sorry, bird, but you bested me today, and I don't know why I'm apologizing to you, because I suppose that's what you want to do. So I'm going to go out of my way here. Typically I try to do levels in the most efficient way that my brain will remember how to do them, unless there's golf in the way, and then my brain's just completely gone because, ooh, golf! We'll see this key here with these blocks that move when you hit a switch, and I believe last time we were here we did hit a switch to raise a platform so we can move an oven across a room, which is kind of a weird sentence now that I say it. And we have these blocks here that would also raise with the switch press. And if we go beyond here, there is a switch. But if we were to go do it, then we wouldn't be able to escape this area. If you had a later power-up, you could escape. But we don't have a later power-up, so we can't escape. I just wanted to come here and make note of that, because it's kind of interesting that there is a switch so close to the key, but we're actually going to have to go a little bit out of our way to do it. I don't know why I'm bothering to kill these guys, because they're just going to respawn when we come back to pick up the red key, because enemies respawn when you leave the room. It's that kind of video game where, oh, and he had his parasol up. He was going to trick me, because I was like, oh, I'm going to ground pound the next sucker I see, but he was ready. That Paragoom knew. He had potentially just seen me ground pound his friend, was like, not today. Not today. If you want to kill me, just use your bicep. I don't want your butt on me. Please. Please no. Please no, Steppy. So let's continue onwards, and we can come into the zombie zone, where zombies like to live, even during the day. It's kind of interesting. Also, something I should make note of, because I don't know how long it'll be before we see an instance of it. But zombies, one of the things that you transform, or instant transformation, is light. Which we saw the first time we were inflicted with zombie back in a peaceful town? Town? It's just called the Peaceful Town, isn't it? The Peaceful Village, that's what it was. I was like, the Peaceful Town doesn't sound right, and it's just gone from my brain, like what word it should be, but Peaceful Village. When we were inflicted with zombie there, we used a street light to turn back, which is kind of interesting. That, you know, it's not like sunlight. And it's because it doesn't need to be sunlight. It just needs to be an instance of strong light. So, and during the night, when instances of sunlight would actually change you back, and they need you to change back to being, you know, normal Wario from zombie, they actually replace sunlight with just strong moonlight, which will transform you back. So if we came here at night, those zombies would just change us. Those zombies would still be there. They'd still turn us into zombie Wario, and we'd still be able to turn back by moonlight as if it were sunlight, which is kind of interesting. Like, what? Like, I know at this point I'm just being confused about the the physical component, like mechanics of a Game Boy game, a Game Boy Color game, I should say, that, like, you know, have no bearing on real life. But it's like, what's different about this moonlight? Like you know, we can be transformed by a zombie under direct moonlight, and that doesn't do it. But for some reason, like, oh, it coming through this window is completely different. Just kind of a weird little thing there. But it works, and it's not like it doesn't make sense. It's like one of those things that doesn't make sense if you think too much about it, like many things. Because, like, had we come here at night, you know, thered still be light streaming through the windows, and it'd be like, oh yeah, they'll change me back. You wouldn't even, like, consider it until you're like, wait a second, why does that change me back? How now, brown cow? But the cow is neither brown, and there are no hows to be had, unfortunately. And actually, we need our zombie friend to give us a little bit, just a little bite, because we need to come down here to get through this window. Kind of interesting that we actually have to use it. You make it to the end without getting bit, but then you have to get bit at the end. Also, something interesting, I believe this is one of, like, few instances of the game where there's, like, a moving background. Like, there are things that'll, like, change color and stuff, but not very many instances of moving backgrounds. And as you can see, there's a lot of spearheads and a lot of paragooms cheering on from the background. And that's because there's a game to be had. The next boss, Shoot, reminiscent of Wario Land 2's boss, Dunk. We're now going to play a game of, I almost said golf, a game of soccer with him. So it's kind of an interesting game. You hop on his head, he turns into a ball, just like the basketball boss in Wario Land 2. You jump on the head, you turn him into a ball, and then you dunk him. But in this one, we got to make a goal. But there is, in fact, a goalie who's going to make our life hell. You can stun the goalie, but then he kind of transforms back really fast, and it may kind of be a pain in the ass to do this. Oh, so close! Oh, it was so close. This boss might be the boss that takes me the longest to beat out of any boss, because he can be just a major pain in the ass. You can get the ball past the goalie whenever he's up. It's just a little difficult. There's kind of like a sweet spot you have to get. A sweet spot that I tend to always miss. And he doesn't say... He stays stunned, like, just short enough to make it, like, a huge pain to do that. Oh, man, I actually thought that'd go in for a second. I know, just to show it off. If he hops on you, you'll become a ball. He'll try and grab you and throw you into the goal. And, of course, you know, the goalie won't stop you if you go flying in, but he'll stop Shoot from going in, you know, because he's a biased goalie, unfortunately. But what you can do if you get hit as a ball is you can run to the goalie and he'll throw you back into play, transforming you back. Which might seem a little like counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense if we were to let him jump back to the goalie, he would change back. Same thing with when you shoot the ball back in, he throws it back in, and then he changes back. Oh man, we're so damn close to getting him in, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. That was nice. I normally don't get the ball in whenever the goalie's down that often, just because the goalie's time just seems just a tad too short for what I normally try to do. And I want to make the shot while the goalie's still up, just to show that you can. So I'm just going to ignore the goalie for now. This boss isn't hard at all, but as you can see, it can kind of overstay its welcome just a little bit, because it can kind of end up being a pain in the ass trying to get the ball to work with you and get past the goalie's super huge block range, because he protects most of the goal. He's gonna keep you out. Once you have shoot turned into a ball, you can kind of just keep him as a ball forever. Because as long as you're bumping into him or punching him or jumping on him, it'll reset his timer. If I just let him sit there for a while, he would eventually just turn back into normal. So he's not a difficult boss at all. It can just be kind of a pain to get him past the sweet spot on that stupid turtle, which realistically at this point I should just be doing whatever I could to get him in, just because I've had enough of the stupid boss music. This boss music can get annoying very quickly. But I really want to get past the goal just to show that we can. I mean, I know that you guys will probably take me at face value that, we can, but I want to show it off. Hitting him as a ball can be kind of interesting because his hopping kind of determines, how you hit. Because you've seen, sometimes I'll do, a straightaway shot, and that's because I hit him, in the middle of his jump as opposed to, being on the ground or in the air. When you hit him at the, height of his, jump, he does this kind of, big arc, and if you hit him, when he's on the ground, he does a, super small arc. So what I'm trying to do, and what I find to be the best way to get him in, is to do straightaway shots like that. There we go, boom. Because trying to do the side shot is real iffy, because it's a super strict thing. The straightaway shots are the best at just flying straight over the goalie's range. It's something I don't show off very often, but there are returning doors from the bosses. But I don't show them off that often because I'm so good at this video game. Just so the best person to ever play this video game. Please don't go look at speedruns.net, the speedrunning website. I don't know if it's speedruns.net, but there's a bunch of people who are much better at this game, and that website shows how much better they are than me at this game. But hey, Shoot's a very important boss because it gets us our second music box, and I believe the second music box is a bit more evocative of no, actually I was gonna say it's a bit more evocative of the music box that we are inside, but it's just because it has a glass dome and stuff inside. You got little dancing people dancing around. How nice. I think if I remember correctly, this music box is something weird. Yeah, so that music box just opens up the bank of the Wild River and the tidal coast for really no discernible reason. It's kind of strange. It's just yeah, you can go that way now. There's, why did they open up? I don't know, but they did. It's kind of strange, but whatever. We're able to go to these levels now, and we should be thankful, even if the internal logic behind them is strange. It's a Game Boy Color game. They can do that. They're allowed to do that. It's a video game. I'm sorry for questioning the video game that I really love.